Welcome to Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the podcast dedicated to commercial food equipment repair industry. My name is Pat Finley. I'm a lead master certified technician at General Parts Group and a certified successor trainer. My goal is to shine a light on what I believe to be one of the most interesting and rewarding industries a field service technician can work in. I love the work I do, and I'm glad you're here listening to this podcast. In this episode, I have Becky Brotherton and Maddie Suvak with Rigid. So today I have two very special guests from Rigid. A lot of you guys may know them. So today I have Maddie Suvak and Becky Brotherton. So how are you guys?
Hey, we're doing great. What is today, Thursday? Yeah, it's sunny over here, so we're doing great. How are you, Pat?
A little tired, but I'll get there. I'm actually heading to a show this weekend in Chicago for the Restaurant Association. So I've got some interviews and stuff set up and just trying to make this circuit and talk to everybody and get content, that kind of stuff.
It won't be like a repeat of Wet where you were actually working at the show and then in our booth, right?
No, that was fun. I was glad I actually got that call today, so I couldn't see you guys. That was cool. That was like one of my highlights. Was like I was going through some personal stuff then, and then the kids coming in the booth and like holding the big wrenches and being excited to hold the wrenches and talk to you guys. That was like it made my day. So it was really cool. I got to witness some of that stuff. So.
Oh, glad to hear it. Well, Becky, do you want to introduce yourself and what your role is?
I'd love to. Pat, thanks for having us. I'm Becky Brotherton. I lead our brand efforts here and marketing engagement with Rigid and Greenlee brands. That's pretty much, anything that we do from event management, trade shows, the experience, Rigid experience, Greenlee experience, which I know we're going to talk about, and commercialization of product and programs that we launch.
Yeah, and I'm Maddie Suvak. I'm the engagement marketing manager for Rigid and Greenlee, and we basically do a little bit of everything, just like Becky kind of says, but I focus mainly in on social. I work a lot with our strategy, creating our content, with our influencers as well. I do PR work, trade shows, and then also help with commercialization. So getting to launch all of our new products, which is so much fun always.
Yeah, it's a big year for you guys too. So this is the 100th year anniversary, correct?
Yes, it is.
That is
correct. As you're probably wearing that on your hat.
I have
Love
it on my shirt.
You
have a throwback logo.
Yes.
I love
your anniversary.
I love seeing all the history stuff. I know PS Plumber does a good job of sharing a lot of stuff. He has a lot of cool tools, and I love seeing all the history stuff. The old flyers, the photos, the videos, and stuff is cool. So you guys are doing a really good job pushing it out there this year. So.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a fun celebration. We're not even halfway through, but it's been a lot of fun internally celebrating with staff and our customers and industry partners, media. And you saw firsthand what we did at Wet with the giveaways and the 100-year wrench. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's a guy that actually lives pretty close to me. His name's Austin. I can't remember his handle. He's going to kill me for this. But he actually somehow got a 100-year wrench. And I was so jealous. He sent me a picture of it. I was like, how did you get that? I was like, how? And he told me, he's like, you got to go through this guy. He's like, but I doubt to have any left. I was like, man.
Well, more details to come this summer. Stay tuned. But we will have a limited quantity that will be available for sale.
Sweet. So you guys have all kinds of stuff going on. You guys created a beer last year for this?
We sure did.
Becky, this was like your baby. You have to talk about all of it.
What are you showing us?
You got the handle.
I love that.
As soon as it came for sale, I bought one to make sure I could get one. Now, I don't have a kegerator yet, but I built this massive barn. It's got my wife's. I'm currently in my wife's craft room. My office isn't done yet; it's upstairs. But I told her, I said it came for sale. She's like, "What did you spend this amount of money on?" And I was like, "You'll see." And it came in this little bitty box. She's like, "What is that?" I was like, "I had to have it. I'm sorry."
I needed it.
I just have a kegerator, and I'll be good to go.
What's your serial number on that?
It is 900090.
All right. Yeah, we only made 100 of those.
Sweet.
Yeah. So the wrench, wrenched 100. That's the beer that we launched, and we did launch it last year. We kind of did like a private debut of it at Rigid Experience 22, where all of our guests got in the shuttle bus. They thought they were going back to the hotel to change for the Cleveland baseball game, but we made a surprise pit stop at Unplugged Brewery. So there's a small brewery, not even half a mile behind our offices. They opened in 2019, so relatively new, super small craft brewery. We had meetings with them throughout 22 and said we want to do a local collaboration with a small brewery to really celebrate our heritage in Elyria, Ohio, as well as our beer. We know our end users appreciate cracking open a cold one in the evening. So we tested a few different types of beers, and there was an internal beer team in Elyria, and we had a fun time collaborating with them. Unplugged on the beer, naming it, the branding of the label, all that fun stuff. But so we make our pit stop there with experience winners from 22, and it was fun. We had a lot of content from it. So fast forward over the weekend. So that was a Thursday. On Monday, I talked to my contact over at Unplugged, and he's like, our phone has been going off the hook because a lot of our social content was, you could see the tap handles and it was Unplugged Brewery. So people obviously were Googling that and they were calling, hey, I want that rigid beer. There were even people that came to the brewery and asked if they could get the empty cans in the trash. So it's like, it was a lot of fun to learn all this after the fact. But anyway, so then January 1st of 23, the beer went for sale at the brewery and the local establishments. There's probably about 18 bars, restaurants around town that also have it on tap. And the tap that you showed us, they have that as well. And then our engineering team here in Elyria, what you have is actually our aluminum wrench that was put in our spray paint line to have the rigid red. It was too heavy if we would have done the heavy duty. And then they have the tap handle screw. So it's been fun. But to your point, you bought that, you don't have a kegerator. A lot of people have said the same thing, like, well, maybe if I got this first, then my wife will let me get the keg. So you aren't the only one that has had that logic. But also, like, that does stand up on its own. So some people, I think, are using it as like a collector's item to sit up on their shelf.
Well, I thought about making like a little fountain I could put on my desk or like in the background when I get my office upstairs and just have like a little water and like put a little yellow dye in there so it looks like beer, just have it like running on a continuous loop in the background or something.
Oh, nice.
Like that, just getting a tap head and doing that. So I'm not sure. But I seen it and I was like, I know these are gonna sell out, so I had to buy it as soon as I seen it. So
yeah. And then the beer's been for sale too. So there's a link. They do ship if people are listening to us and are interested. If you just Google Wrenched 100 beer, there is a distributor they use that does ship out of state. So it's fun. We get tagged a lot on that in social and cheers to 100.
Yep, I seen that. I was like, I need to. I just forgot about it one day. I think I heard you guys on another podcast or seen you on a video or talked about it. So I just didn't get a chance to order it, but I need to get a set. I want to order some just keep it on.
You know what? We will send you some.
Look at that.
Sweet.
Making my to do. Send your cat.
Show it all. So I try to collect stuff.
That's what you get for hosting us this morning.
I appreciate it. So 100 years, that's cool. So tool talk, we'll get into that. Your guys' tool list is like growing exponentially every year. So I don't do a whole lot of plumbing. I do some press work. And I have to rent a press gun. I'm trying to talk my work into this. We're trying to build a press program because we do a lot of hospitals and nursing home installs and working. The burn permit process is getting ridiculous anymore. So I'm trying to switch this over to us. I've been pricing out some stuff, trying to work on getting some stuff together. Get some systems in place so we can actually try it and use it. So, but I've rent them all the time because I don't even want to mess with burn pits. I just I'll go rent a 350 somewhere and come back and I'll press 2-inch drains. I'll press some water lines, some other stuff. And but like all the tools I see, we stopped out at the wet show seeing you guys, and you guys had that. I don't know what it was, but it was just chewing through plywood left and right. All the tools you guys have is amazing. I follow all these plumbers. I am so jealous. I'm like, I want all these cool tools. I want to be a plumber.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's part of what Rigid is. We stand for innovation, and we're always looking to innovate the field and, come out with great new tools. The tool you're talking about is the K4310 FXP drum machine. So it's our personal Rigid's most powerful drum machine, and we pre-launched it at WET, where we kind of got to show people, and people were blown away. One of Becky's favorite stories is, and it's truly a testament to like the power of social media, is we posted it on Rigid's Instagram, someone who followed Rigid saw it and they were like, oh my God, I need to go see that in person. And they were from Oklahoma. They booked a flight that night and they showed up to the wet show the next day just so they could see it in person.
It was several guys, weren't they? It was like a group of guys came over.
There was a group, yeah, I know. There's a group of guys that have been like previous experience winners, and there was definitely that bond and that community. But there was a group that came from Oklahoma City, is what she's referring to. That they saw it on social and they said, "I need to see that in person."
Yeah, I think I was there. I was walking by when they actually came over, so it was that thing was impressive. I kept hearing it. I was like, "What's going on over there?" So I walked by because I was working upstairs. And I'd walk by the booth. I'd go get parts, and I'd walk by and see how busy it was. Just, try to gauge, see if I could stop in for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen everyone just up front staring at that thing. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's what's fun about shows is showcasing either, hey, this is launching soon, or we just launched this, and get real time feedback from our customers. And I think people like you and our end users and media, that's why they invest their time and money going to these shows so they can learn firsthand what's coming and ask the questions to the professionals.
Yeah.
Well, actually, off, and I'll make a point to come to the wet show a couple of days. So.
Yeah, and then we saw you at AHR too. So, as an end user, you went also for HVAC Tactical Awards, but we wanted to ask you about your award that you received there. Congratulations. It was Best of Social Media Content 2022?
2023.
2023, yeah, Best of Social Media Content. I was totally unexpected. I was blown away. So he reached out to me a couple weeks before the show, and he's like, hey, Ben did. He's like, hey, do you go by Patrick or Pat? And I was like, well, I go by Pat. I've always gone by Pat. My mom's the only person who calls me Patrick because my dad's name was Pat. He was Patrick too, but she called him Pat, so she wouldn't call me Pat. So she calls me Patrick. I was like, I go by Pat, but either's fine. It's not a big deal. He's like, oh, well, you're nominated. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, what for? He wouldn't tell me. I was like, who am I sitting with at my table? He wouldn't tell me. I was like, oh, come on, Ben. So we're sitting at the Tactical Awards, and it's coming up, and it's rolling through, and it rolls through. It was Jamie's, video where he was nominated, and I think it was I can't remember who else it was. Now I'm terrible. And all of a sudden, it was a picture of my ice machine, a video I did of an ice machine. I was like, oh crap, that's me. I was like, there's no way I'm beating Jamie because Jamie does great stuff. And Chris Stevens, I'm friends with Chris. I've been friends with Chris for a couple of years, and I was actually hanging out before. And he looked at the thing and read it, didn't read it out loud. He just looked right at me and looked back down and smiled. And I was like, there's no way. And he said my name, and I absolutely freaked out. It was really cool.
That was awesome. A big congrats to you and all the work that you put into your podcast.
Thank you. I tell everybody it was mainly, I think, just because I put something out every day, and I put it out on every platform: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, I'm on Gary McCready's app, HVAC Know It All. I'm on Trade Hounds. I just put it everywhere. Twitter. If it's out there, I'm putting it out there. I need to be better. I guess there's some apps that will cross post most platforms, but I manually do everything, and it drives me nuts.
No, yeah. I mean, I think when I entered the plumbing industry, I actually came from another plumbing company before I came over to Rigid. And the thing that blew my mind was the community that exists on social media of plumbers and HVAC and those in the trades. I mean, I tell people, they're like, what do you do? I was like, well, I work for a company. We make plumbing tools. And they're like, cool. And I was like, yeah, I do social. And they're like, that sounds horrible. It's like, no, it's actually my favorite part of my job because the community is just chef's kiss phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, this community. I mean, I'm on Facebook, and the people are there are so negative, and they're so tearing each other down. You come over to Instagram, and it's getting negative. They're getting destroyed by everybody. They're like, get out of here. We're not about that. And it's just the community that's over here for the HVAC, the plumbers, and everybody it's totally amazing. And it's awesome that companies like Rigid and Greenlee step up and help out and do things, involved in social stuff. And, I'm not going to say names, but I tag a company all the time, and they never even look at the post. I'll tag them in all kinds of stuff, cool videos, and they just they don't even acknowledge it even exists. I'm like, this is crazy.
No, it's crazy. I mean, have you found that it's helped your business, or it's helped you in that? It always fascinates me. How do you balance doing? I feel like I just switched the table. I was like, I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, we totally are. Pat's I did not sign up. He did not sign up for this, but welcome to our podcast, Pat.
I'm just glad to be here, having a good time. So,
but how do you balance? You're on this job, and you need to do your job, but then you want to grab content. Do you set a phone up and then you just film and then you edit later, or are you working and you're like, oh, that'd be something good to post on social? Like, I'm fascinated.
So, like, when I start, I try to record the beginning of every call when I get there and, like, what's going on with it. And then I get so wrapped up in the calls, most of the time I forget to record. So I've got, like, 1,000 of these short clips of, like, what's wrong with this equipment, but then I don't go through the process. So I try to take time, and I have 8 million different mounts, plant mounts. I have mounts for everything. And I put up a mount and just hope I can record it. I started putting them in my phone in my shirt pocket because it's big enough and it hangs over, and I can record as I go. But it's difficult. I've got tripods I set up sometimes, but I always forget something. Or I gotta watch out in these restaurants though, because everything's branded. Like even utensils are branded. Like branded. People I see people's videos, like plumbers especially, and they're working on a commercial dish machine. And I'm like, I comment, I know where they're at by the floor tile design in the dish machine. So I'm like, you're at this restaurant. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like, that's been my life for 17 years. I was like, so I can tell you about like just about every chain restaurant. I can pick it apart in like seconds just by the equipment. So that's pretty funny. But it's a lot of work. I told my wife, I said, it's a full-time job just doing this media to tie in with the podcast and everything else. It drives me nuts. And luckily she's understanding. Like I said, at the Tactical Awards, I went up there and I thanked her, because I sit on the couch and we watch a movie. Next thing you know, I'm editing a video. Like, now, so I'm not disturbing her, and she just looks over and laughs. She's like, "Are you done yet?" I was like, "Give me 5 minutes, I'll be done." So
it's like it's probably like your outlet or like a hobby, right?
Yeah, some days I hate it though.
Do you? I mean, you just for people that they don't know this, but like before we started the podcast, Pat told us that he worked 21 hours yesterday. So I think it would probably be challenging to find time to put that tri-stand up or tripod up. And
so right now we've got a lot of influx of new guys that don't have experience. So one of them being my son, he's 20 years old. He rises me a lot just because I want him to have the best shot going forward. Plus he lives with me, so it's easier for us to travel the same stuff. But so blonde-headed kid in my videos or pictures, that's my son. I call him my trainee and he gets mad at me. So I've had him a lot. So a lot of times I can just film behind him, or I can I don't have to actually do the work. I just explain to him. So a lot of times I just film that way. That makes it a lot easier. But he gets kind of grouchy if he's in my videos. He told me he signed a social media release for General Parts, not for Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, and stopped filming him.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's also the same kid that said, when you're in your uniform, you're not my dad. So one morning we were working together, and he was still in bed, and I had my uniform on. I was like, we got to leave 15 minutes. He wasn't up yet, so I just left. I just left him here. He's like, why did you wake me up? I said, I had my uniform on. I'm not your dad, dude. And he changed his tune.
That's funny. Oh my goodness. But just going back to the wet show and the other tools. I know we kind of mentioned, like I said, we are in the business of making innovative products, and the only other ones that I think that are newer for us right now are we have the Sea Snake Mini Pro, and we are the industry first digital self-leveling. It's a reel you can stick down the drain, so that's a new one for us. And then we have our K912, the smallest lineup in the flex shaft machine, and
look at the RP115.
Oh, and the RP115. We're in our pressing room currently.
Yeah, the RP115 is sweet. So it's 1/2 inch and 3/4, and so small and so light. If I was like a plumber, a residential plumber or something, that'd be my go-to, because you don't need anything bigger than that in a residential situation, and not in my area. I'm not doing big, giant, multi-million-dollar homes or anything, but
sure,
I think it'd be the go-to for the guy trying to get into pressing. Especially a service van or something. It's small, it's compact, it's gonna do everything they need, and the price point's probably gonna be pretty good too.
Exactly. Those were all of our hitting points that we wanted to communicate to everyone, and it's been pretty well received out there in the field, and we get great feedback. I was just talking to someone the other day, and she was like, well, I'm looking to primarily solders, and she's like, I don't want to solder anymore, just because of I don't want to get the permit, the fire, it's kind of dangerous. So she was like, what can you recommend? I was like, well, let me tell you, I have this great tool. It's the RP115, and it would be perfect for you. So it's just one case, but
yeah, I looked at it, but my main thing I press is 2-inch copper drain lines for combi ovens, so 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And they want to look into getting into gas, maker stuff too, so we do some gas. So my goal, I'd probably end up with like a 350 or something along those lines, because I got to be able to press gas. I got to be able to press up to 2-inch copper. But most of my stuff's copper, half-inch, 3/4, 1-inch water lines, and an 1.5-inch and 2-inch water drains for combi ovens. Just because it's high temperature, so we don't use PVC. So that's.
Do you press today?
Oh yeah, I press a little bit. I don't have a tool. I rent one. That's what I was talking about earlier. If I get a burn permit, I don't want to deal with that. I'll just go rent the tool. It's actually cheaper for me to rent the tool and buy the fittings than to get a burn permit and then stay there for how many ever hours after I'm done soldering. It's not worth it. Like places that won't even let us take the pipe outside and solder it now. They want a burn permit if you can go outside of a torch. I'm like, I'm outside. Like, we don't care.
Interesting. Wow.
When I'll tell you a funny story about a burn permit. When I first came over where I'm at now, I didn't really do installs before. I started doing installs, and we had this night job and it was at a hospital. We were going in every night. We were installing 2 ovens. We installed 10 ovens total, but we do 2 a night. So it was contracted through a GC and everything, and he was never there. So we during the day we'd stack the units. We'd like make the drain manifold up, but when we get to site, we'd have to extend the drain over to the drain on the floor and everything. So it was the last night we were there, and he came by. He see me with the torch. He goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm getting ready to solder these drains together." He's like, "I thought you made all these up." I was like, "No, we make the manifold on the back, and then we come in the next day and we finish it up in here, and we run to the final destination because I don't know where it's going to be, He was like, "Well, you got a burn permit?" And I was like, "What's a burn permit?" And I lit the torch, soldering, and he freaked out. He went and grabbed a fire extinguisher. He's like, "If you don't put that out right now, I'm going to spray you." I was like, I had no idea what a burn permit was.
Yeah, if you're at a hospital, that's a big no-no. Hospitality is a whole segment that we work with on our press tools because of what you just said.
So I learned real fast. But I mean, like you said, rent a tool, buy the fittings, and it's still cheaper than paying me to stay there 48 hours. I mean, I've been places where there's one hospital in particular that you have to have 2 guys there during the entire time you're burning, and then the guy that's responsible for fire watch actually has to stay 8 hours after the job's done, not after the torch is off. So if the torch is off and I still have 2 hours more work, by the time I'm done with that 2 hours, he has to stay another 8 hours. I'm like, I can't. It's like, it doesn't make sense to pay someone to stand there for 10, 12 hours when I could just be done with it and I'm out in 3 hours. It looks better. It's not got copper gloves. It don't have globs of solder everywhere. I mean, I'm not the greatest because I don't do it every day. So I put a video up yesterday, and I was expecting people to roast me a little harder than they did. They took it easy on me.
What was your video yesterday?
I was just soldering some 2-inch drain lines on a combi oven, and I put it out there, just a little short snippet of it.
Yeah,
it's hard. I got to solder once, and I was like, I couldn't do this. I was just like, you have to like turn the fitting, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna stick to my little press gun. So for all of my plumbing needs that I do by myself.
All Maddie's plumbing needs.
Pressing is definitely the way to go. So, but you guys have, you have more than a press gun. You have drain cleaning, you got cameras, you got threading machines. So we used to install some grease collection stuff, and it was all 2-inch, and we had to thread everything, and we had the big gnarly machine and just rip your arm off. I was scared to death to use it. But the technology stuff you guys have now is awesome, man. You get the battery platform.
Yep, we just introduced a 60-volt at NECA. So that's we mentioned the Greenlee brand, the electrical side. So National Electrical Contractors Association, that was on our threader. So we say we're like the OG, original gangsta in the threading game. That's a big tool for electrical contractors. So we showed that at NECA in October of 22. And then we introduced the drum machine that Maddie mentioned has that same battery platform on that tool.
So I actually started out as an electrician. So I used to use Greenlee big giant pipe benders for rigid pipe years ago. So I started.
Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of I get bored and I jump around. Luckily, this industry is pretty dynamic and it's all over the place, so it fits me pretty well. So I don't have to jump around anymore. But yeah, I took electrical in high school at the vocational school for 2 years. Houses, we did some stuff in the building, and then I came out and I went union for a while, and I went non-union for a while. But yeah. So I've always used Greenlee tools. I still have a few. I got some knockouts I use for like when I got to pull a knockout in some ovens and some stuff. I'm doing some installs. But
yeah. So yeah, we make the knockouts we're talking about. We actually make those right here at our. So behind us is our headquarters and with offices as well as our plant. So in our manufacturing plant, we have the knockouts for Greenlee that are made right there, as well as our step bits, and then a lot of our threading machines, our beveler, a lot of mechanical tools, our iconic pipe wrench. It's all made just a few hundred steps away from us.
Yeah. I burned up a Greenlee stud bit the other day, some stainless.
Did you?
I'm hard on tools. It's bad. It's bad. Well, the stainless in these kitchens, sometimes it's real cheap grade, sometimes it's real expensive grade. You don't know until you start drilling into it. And by the time you drill, it's too late. So let's talk about the Rigid and Greenlee experiences. I applied. I didn't get picked. I get how it is. I'll apply every year just to do it. But it's so cool. I've followed it for a couple of years now, and it's just like everyone's out there having a blast. All the content, everything you guys do, the factory tour, you get your wrench, your electrician, you get a knockout. Is that what you get?
What was that?
The Greenlees get knockouts.
Yeah, they get the knockouts, and then the Rigid guests get the wrench.
So you want to talk about that? Go into that?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, Becky, I'll start. I mean, well, you started this, like 6 years ago? We're in our 6th year now.
Well, yeah, would be our 7th if we didn't have the COVID year, but yeah.
So yeah, we're going on year 6 for Rigid, and then the 2nd year for Greenlee. It's coming up. It's this year's is June 7th through 9th. So we're busybodies over here, just making sure all our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. But it is probably like one of the coolest things that we do. I started with Rigid last June, and then I came right on, and last August was when we had last year's, and I was blown away by just all the time and effort that we put into it. I mean, we get our engineers involved, our industrial design team, the plant, our product managers, everyone gets to be involved, and they love it just as much as the guests love it, because we bring in our guests and our winners, and they're like, we get to pick your brain. Like, we want to know, like, what do you think of these products? And I think one really cool part is that, when the guests and winners come, they get to not only just, see the factory where these tools that they use every day are made, but they also do get some sneak peeks of like what's coming down the pipeline for us, and they get to put their input into it, and like they just love it and they're blown away by it. So that's one of my favorite aspects.
I will say, when we first started it, we kind of started it just like any program that we do, is like a pilot, and let's test it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, we won't repeat it. But so we started it 7 years ago, and internally we're like, are people going to want to come to our offices or come to the plant? And sure enough, we had thousands of entries, which blew us away. It was very small. We actually only had 3 winners, and each winner could bring a guest. So 2 winners brought other skill trades, people that they work with, and then 1 winner did bring his spouse. Which, what I love about this industry, it's very family oriented. I know at WET you see it, at HR you see a lot of husband-wife teams where they both manage this business together, and that's exactly what that couple was. So she did a lot of work for the business. So it was interesting, even just talking to her and understanding like her take on the business and how they grow their business, and her pain points. But anyway, so we did the first ever experience. We've changed the agenda up a little bit since then. But we're like, after that event, we're like, okay, this is definitely here to stick. We blew it up a little bit bigger for like, we added the media extension. We're like the very first time we had like a guest was Eric Awney with Mechanical Hub, which I know you know him. So we've kind of added that outlet to the experience, but it was very like grassroots kind of approach. And I really think it was the foundation of this social community. It's amazing to see like what each group, like they all have group text messages or Instagram group text. They get each other into different businesses or product lines. For example, like Matt Fleming, who is really big into pressing, has Flex Shaft now, and he's like, look at me, I clean drains. And like, that was solely because one of his peers from Rigid Experience talked him into getting a Flex Shaft 204. So we see a lot of that, or if they're getting into a new product category. I know Twig has FaceTimed Eric quite a bit, and vice versa with, I know Omar too. And it's just interesting to see how they all kind of have this bond. Mm-hmm. And then even at Rigid Experience, even at WET 23, there was more than half of the guests from Rigid Experience 22 attended. I mean, they say, hey, we're going to go. They all book at the same hotel, and they meet up with us. And it's just fun to see that dynamic. And really, our objective is to celebrate the skilled trades and what you do. You talk about your 21-hour day yesterday and like elevating that and celebrating it, and really how do we open that up for something that, you know, the younger generation aspires to be because I mean, it really is such a good career. The income that you can make off of it, your you know, just be able to provide for your family, and also just this is an industry that's not going anywhere. Like we need the skilled trades, we need plumbers. So it's fun to be a big part of that. What we do behind the scenes is a lot of fun, a lot of attention to detail. But it's
very rewarding.
One of our favorite weeks of the year, no doubt.
Yeah. So the 21-hour day is not a normal thing. It just happened that I just didn't want to go home for a while, so I kind of put the issue. I'm going away this weekend for work-related things, so I'm not going to work tomorrow. Monday's kind of questionable, so I wanted to try to get as much done yesterday, and I had some stuff to do today, so I kind of loaded up yesterday to kind of help out, but that's not a normal day, luckily.
Yeah. Well, we do. I mean, I know you're saying that, but that is a theme that we hear a lot. I think that's part of the reason too, like the skilled shortage. I mean, you have a lot of the professionals working. They're not working hour days.
I'm scared everybody because people are like 21 days. Like it's not a normal day. Normally, I'm like, I mean, I generally do 10 to 12, and that's my choice. Most of the time, I can just do 8 and skate if I want, but that's just not my mentality. I like to do as much as I can a day. So, but yeah, the younger generation's huge. Trying to get them in. Like I said, my son's my apprentice trainee. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 this fall. But he's got friends with the college, and they're struggling. They still got college. A couple of them graduated, and the money he makes, he's just like, I can't believe that they're going to college and I'm making this much money already. He's like, he's literally 20 years old. He's he's in the process of buying a house right now. He's engaged. He's like, everything's just going pretty good. And I told him, he was talking about college, and I was like, look, you're a party boy. I said, I know what's going to happen when you go to college. I was like, I just want you to be prepared that if you flunk out or get kicked out, you still got to pay all that money back.
Yeah.
I make too much money. You didn't get good enough grades to get, to go for free. And I just explained it to him, and I wasn't trying to scare him. I just wanted him to be aware that, this is probably what's going to happen. This may happen, and you're still going to be on the hook for this thousands of dollars. And he understood once I explained it that way. And he's been working with me for 6-7 months now, and he likes it. He's had some training opportunities. He came back from last week, and he came back excited to learn some new stuff, working some new stuff, and he's actually out running some calls a day on his own. So,
look, I see like a father-son business starting up in the future. Look at that.
I don't know about that. I got a pretty good where I'm at. So where I'm at, I'm actually, the company backs me 100% on all this podcast. They help me with the shows when I go to shows. So this week's actually a show based on restaurant equipment in Chicago. So I'm going up there and I'll hang out with my parent company. We'll film some content and stuff. So I've got it pretty well made.
Is this a restaurant show where there's like actual like food samples?
Oh yeah, it's huge.
I've been to this show before.
It's every year in Chicago. There's just food samples everywhere. There's equipment everywhere. It's nuts. Like I don't even know why they opened the concession stands at the McCormick place for this, because there's just food everywhere you go. That's all you smell.
It's crazy. I went in 2005 probably. And yeah, it's like food samples galore. It's like being at Costco the whole day, getting food samples.
It's like a vegan village. That's what people call it. It's like an area where it's all like vegan only, like food and stuff. It's insane. Wow. It's cool. So I went last year. Is the first year I went because I started the podcast last year, and the parent company that owns the company I work for is based out of Chicago. They wanted to talk to me because I just launched this last year, and they wanted to support me. So I went up there and met with them, and I was like, I got to go back this year. So that's what I'm doing in the morning. I'm driving to Chicago for the weekend, and I'll come back.
That's awesome. Nice. But you mentioned, the getting the younger generation to the trades. I mean, growing up, I never knew that like trades were an option for me. My schooling, I was told you go to college or you don't succeed in life. And I didn't know anything different than that. I was like, oh, college, okay, cool. And then, once I graduated college, and I found my first job in the plumbing industry, I was like, why was I never told about this? Why was I never given this opportunity? And so I think that's, one of the big challenges that kids now face is like, do they even know that these opportunities exist? And I know that it's something that like at Rigid, we pride ourselves in, educating the younger generation about the trades and the opportunities that
yeah, that's one of the opportunities that we like when we look at social media or platform that we're able to communicate and broadcast that message to the masses, whether it's, for those that are changing careers mid, they could be whatever in their 30s, 40s, 50s, changing career. We see that, or kids in high school, there's a lot of vocational programs. Like you said, in high school, you took, it sounds like that's really where your passion for being in the skilled trades started. We see that. So we do a lot through vocational programs, and we also have our very own Emerson Skilled Trades Labs, which actually, ironically, before we came up here in the schoolhouse, there's programs going on downstairs right now where they're threading pipe. And we also do a lot with Mika, IBEW, and then PHCC, which also I'm going to talk to you about because it is tied in with our 100-year anniversary. But PHCC, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association. We've been working with them for a few decades now, and we are part of their educational foundation. We're one of their sponsors for that, and we do a lot with their apprentice program. So they actually have a national contest. Ironically, it's in Cleveland this year. So this October, which happens to also be Manufacturing Month, we are hosting PHCC here on our Rigid campus. So there'll be some tour buses coming of contractors, their board of directors, as well as their apprentices. And they'll get a behind the scenes look of some product. Again, similar to Rigid Experience, we'll show them some behind the scenes, what's in development, which is a lot of fun for them and fun for us because we get some real-time feedback that we have an appetite for. And then also they'll see the school or the schoolhouse, which we have catalog rooms. I always say it's like kids in candy store because they literally see every single product. We have the biggest Rigid advocates and fans, and it's crazy. Every single one comes in the catalog room and they are like, didn't know you made this product. So that's always fun. And then they get to also tour the plant. So that's going to be a fun week. That's like the third week in October in Cleveland. And then we'll be having people here. And then also the Wednesday, Thursday of that week is the apprenticeship program that we have a big role we play, again, elevating the skilled trades and really trying to close that gap. So
sweet. That's cool. I love seeing the involvement, with everything in the trade schools and stuff like that. That's why I'm trying to push a huge push for my company to get involved with the trade schools. So I'm trying to actually create like a virtual career day thing that we can just like share and broadcast out. So I've got a lot of initiatives besides what I do. I'm trying to transition to some other stuff. I'll see if it happens. So, but trying to get more people involved, especially on our end, because I don't fit in the HVAC side. I don't fit in the
You have such a niche, like your podcast and what you do. Like your whole channel and your platform, really, like we learned about it at AHR. I mean, Maddie and I were at HVAC Tacticals. We were invited by Ben, and Rigid was a proud sponsor. That was a really, really cool event. I loved how it was red carpet, elevated all of you in the trades, men and women. It was fun to be part of, but it was interesting for us. And then we literally, Maddie and I are taking pictures of everyone that was up there because we're like,
these people.
We don't know these people. And so then we were like following, and then we followed you, and then we talked to you, I think, quite a bit at the RLS booth. Which we did some partnerships with RLS and Viga at that show, which was a really good show for us. But it's just interesting, like your channel, the niche that you penetrate through social. A lot of people aren't talking the behind the scenes of what goes on in the kitchen. I really think you're one of the only ones that I can think of that really targets that and talks about that.
There's a few more coming out. There's some guys that actually work for some of our sister companies. They're starting to get involved. I mean, like kind of, he was putting out some videos. I was like, hey, you can't show this, you can't do that. So I'm kind of like mentoring and like showing, like, because the problem is working for a company the size of the company that owns us is if he gets in trouble, they don't shut him down. They're going to shut everybody down. I don't want to shut down. So I was like, every time he puts something up, I'm like, hey, take that down. You can't show this. You can't do this. I kind of like mentored him into it. And he's really taken off. He jumped on TikTok. He jumped on Instagram. So he's doing some pretty cool stuff. He's been on my show a couple times now. And there's a few guys out there, but nothing like all those plumbers, HVAC guys. I mean, they're out there just absolutely killing it. Electricians too. That's how I started this. Is I was on my personal Instagram account, and I started listening to like Tool Pros.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I started following him, and I started seeing all these people comment, and I just started following all these people. And I was like, holy cow! I was like, this place is huge. I was like, these guys all have all these crazy tools. They all work with all these companies. They all do this cool stuff. I'm like, I was like, I didn't see me anywhere. I didn't see anybody in the kitchen. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. So I created the Instagram for the kitchen stuff, and then eventually one day I was bored. I listened to podcasts. I was like, well, there's no one that talks about what I talk about. I want to do it. And I have ADHD, so I bounce all over the place. And a couple weeks later, I forgot about it. I was on something else. And I was walking past the president of my company's office. He's like, hey, Pat, we got to talk. And I was like, oh, man, because he's based out of Indy. He lives in Indy. And I was like, oh, man. He's like, it's nothing bad. It's about your podcast. And I was like, oh, he's going to tell me I can do it. Cool. I'm going to get out of this. And he's like, and then he's like, no, we want to support you. We want you to do it. I was like, man, now I really got to do this. It's turned into it's a blast. It's fun. I get to meet all kinds of cool people. I get to go to shows, interview all kinds of great people. You two are on here talking about Rigid. It's just the people I've met and the connections I've met are just priceless. I mean, I do some stuff with RLS. I'm going to start doing some stuff with Vega coming up, and it's just amazing the opportunities it's created. Just the friendships it's made. Like I talk to Colton Viking every day, and he's the past winner, isn't he? Past winner of the Rigid experience.
Yeah, he wasn't a winner. Again, he was like a guest. We invited him because of our strong partnership with Vega.
He's my dude, man. He's hilarious. He's always there for me if I'm down, and he's a great dude. He's just a great just from going to trade shows and seeing him. It's amazing what the social media aspect does, and I'm trying to get like the shows outside of the HVAC shows, the public shows, to start doing what AHR's doing and Wet's doing, and bringing in the influencers and
having podcast row. Like, and what did an official rollout of a podcast for the first time in 23, and then AHR started podcast row last year. We were part of in 22 and 23. So yeah, it's fun to see the evolution of how they're latching onto social and these channels.
I wish the kitchen side of it, because I went to NAFM. NAFM's every other year. It's just a trade organization for what we do. It's mainly manufacturers, but we go there and see the equipment. And I got NRA next week doing a show. I'm like, why aren't you guys taking advantage of this? I'm like, you guys are just catering to the manufacturer side of it. It's like you guys could bring in people that actually involved in working in this stuff and bring more attention to it. But every time I tag them and post something, I never even get seen. I just laugh. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, it's gonna fall behind.
I mean, it's completely true. I mean, I always think that, any company who's not on social media, you will fall behind. And I think one of my favorite things that Heather actually told me one time was she was like, with Rigid and Greenlee, we sell B2B, business to business, but we market business to consumer. And that's how you do it. We're making our products, and our goal is for those end users, our consumers every day. And so, you can be a big manufacturer, but still have that connection that
it's authentic and genuine. That's something that we find in here.
Yeah, I love it. I'll tag you guys. I'll reshare something. I'll tag you guys, and Bridget actually likes it. I get all excited. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, I know.
I deal with other companies. I'll tag them, and like they never even look at the post. Like because you tag them, it shows up on their feed, and like they don't even look at it. I'm just I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, you guys are missing so many opportunities. And I tried to reach out to their social team to do some stuff, and I sent them my information, and like it was crickets. I was like, okay. I was like, it is.
Well, that's how we find value going to the shows, and a trade show isn't just a trade show to us anymore. It's it's a lot more than that. It's relationship management, and we get opportunities. Like, as much as you're excited about this opportunity, we are too.
100%.
It was a blast. Like I said, I was going through some stuff, and I came down and to see the kids. I was like, this is awesome. The kids in there.
We love the kids, and that's we started doing the big wrench, foam wrench. Those kids, the kids thinks it's pretty cool. I love how Wet is like family oriented too. It's so common to have kids in your booth all day. And then we introduced the tattoo. Did you see the wrench tattoo that we did?
Temporary tattoo. I see the kids getting them. There was adults getting them in the booth and everything else.
Kids, but it's fun, and we often say it starts, especially in the skilled trades. But for Rigid, we say like our brand runs deep and early, so it's fun to get the kids involved.
Yeah, get it out there and let them know that there's plenty of opportunities outside of going to college. Like Maddie said, when I was in school, I graduated in 2000, and it was college. They just pushed it. And I was like, I'm done with school. I barely graduated. I couldn't focus. I couldn't sit there. I couldn't take it. And the only reason I actually graduated is because I spent half the day at vocational school every day doing stuff. And then I'd have 2 classes in the afternoon each day, and I'd sit through that. I'd struggle. I'd hate it. I'd try to leave early every day. And that's the only reason I made it, because I had the trade outlet during the day. And I came out, became an electrician for a few years, and came to this. But the younger generation, just telling them there's opportunities out there. Like my youngest son's 17.
Yep.
He was trying to graduate this summer, but school wouldn't let him because he's got enough credits. He's literally a 4.0 student, got invited to National Honor Society and told him no because he's not going to college. He's not doing any extra work. Every day I go check the mail and there's like 2 or 3 college letters wanting to talk to him. And he's like, I'm not going to college. This is stupid. I'm like, the smartest kid in my entire house that could go to school for free is just, nope, I'm not going. I'm like, this is crazy. He's taking an auto body class next year, but he doesn't know what he wants to do. He's his friends are in it, so he wants to go hang out with his friends. Are in it.
Sure.
So I told him, I was like, you need to be a plumber, and then your brother can get his experience. I was like, maybe go down the road, you guys can just open up your own mechanical shop.
There you go.
That'd be great.
Thinking about it, so we'll see. It's just good to see him wanting to do something, though. I mean, so many kids go to college, they get all that debt, and they don't really study something that's valuable, or they don't get a degree in something they can actually use, and they come out and they struggle. I mean, I'm not saying don't go to college whatsoever. There's a lot of jobs you need to go to college, you need to learn, but there's a lot of high-paying jobs that you don't need to go to college. So,
sure, I think everyone has their own career path, and something will work out for everyone.
Yep. So it's a cool time to be in the trades, that's for sure. We're in super high demand, and the pay is just getting better and better every single day. It's ridiculous.
I also think it's a cool time. Like, if you're a junior or senior in high school, I think it's a cool time for you too, because it's like so much more acceptable now, right?
Yep.
Like what Maddie said, the pressure of going to college. I felt the same, a little bit different in my household, but I feel like that pressure has been, I don't know, relieved a little bit, and then like it's more accepting to go into these blue collar jobs that are. I think a lot of brands like Rigid tell the story. And I don't know if you're familiar with like American Plumber Stories, but we did partner up with Pfister. That's been a lot of fun for us to tell these stories, really like lifestyle stories, how these people got into the skilled trades. And then they talk about the hobbies they have, whether it's horseback riding, racing cars. I mean, it's crazy. Like the disposable income one can make from the trades, but it's these stories have to be told, and these videos have to be played in the high school classroom for really, have the kids understand what it means. Like, oh, I can make something of myself going into the skilled trades. And it's not these plumber jokes anymore, which there shouldn't be the plumber jokes, but it's nice that it's being illustrated in the way that it is today. It's a lot different than, at least like you said, you graduated in 2000. I graduated in 2002. So you and I very similar, era in high school. And I feel like it was the vocational programs weren't as accepted.
Yep. Yeah. So there's actually vocational starting to make a push to come back here in Indiana. I've noticed a lot of the outlying schools, like we never got rid of ours. I'm north of Indianapolis, kind of out in the rural area. We've always kept ours, but even in Indy, like some of the old schools are being turned into vocational schools. They're partnering with like junior colleges to run them programs. The kids can go there as part of a vocational school, or they have like evening classes for adults to come in as like junior college and take the same courses these kids take in high school. I'm like, man, if these guys would have known about this in high school versus waiting and, trying to figure out what they're coming in at 30, 40 years old and doing it then, it's like, man, if we could have done this for you guys when you were 16, 17 years old, the money you could have made, and that's, 10, 20 years when you were trying to figure yourself out, you'd have been a lot further off. So that's great. Like I said, I'm trying to do a virtual job fair thing, and I want to do a video that we can just send out to some of these schools just to show what we do. But we're trying to rebrand our social media for our work, so we'll see what happens. I just want to make it more appealing to the younger crowd. Like right now, it's just we stand next to a piece of equipment for a thumbs up, or in front of the van, and we stand there, and I'm like, this isn't reaching the younger kids. I mean, nothing against what we have. It's just we need to do it. So
sure, yeah.
So anything else you want to talk about? We talked about the beer. We talked about experiences. We've talked about tools, your involvement in getting younger people into the trades, and PHC or PHHC?
PHC, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's big for us this year. I just love that they're going to be in Cleveland. So
yeah, that's awesome. One thing I think I want to talk about. You guys plug away unless you can do what you want to say. It's up to you. Do whatever. I'm free form. I don't care. I gave you like points, and the rest is up in the air.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't have anything else to cover. Give me a follow on Instagram at Maddie_rigid at Maddie_rigid _Greenlee. So like, give me a follow. That was my personal plug.
Professional plug.
She's got a sticker there way up there somewhere.
Woo! Isn't her sticker the best?
Yeah. I see it. I was like, this thing. I was like, this is awesome. I seen her just show it one day, and I was like, I have to have one, and I need to send something over. I'm terrible. I've got a pile I need to send out. I just always forget about it.
And we were at AHR, and someone like recognized her. And
oh my god, yeah, they were like, "Are you Maddie with Rigid?" I was like, "Why, yes, I am."
And I got to walk around the show with her, so it was a treat.
It was cool seeing you guys at the show. I missed. You guys didn't have a booth, but it was cool seeing you at. I seen you at RLS and Vega, and just walking around. It's trade shows are amazing. That's the second time I went. Last year was the first year I went to AHR, and I was like absolutely blown away. It was Vegas. I'd never been to Vegas. My wife had never been to Vegas, so we went. We came in super early. We came in the Friday before the show. We did the typical tourist thing where you walk 12 miles the first day before noon because you don't realize how far everything is. It looks so big. It looks close, and it's really like, no, it's 5
it's 3 hotels away, aka 12 miles.
Yeah, a hotel is like 5 city blocks, a half mile long or a mile long. Like, this is crazy. So, but we did AHR last year. It was a blast, and then did this year, and I'll never miss it.
We will be at AHR 24 in Chicago, so super local to you. Yeah. And then we'll be at WET as well. But WET is moving up a few weeks because of the NBA All-Star game, so it's going to be the same week. But we'll be at both shows in 24. So
yeah, they canceled the All-Star game notes in Indy because of COVID originally, so they moved us to the Indy one. That's why I got moved back. So
makes sense.
But yeah, I will definitely be there because I'll be taking off. Make sure I can come down and hang out for a couple of days for that because I got to hang out and meet some people at WET that I haven't met before.
Sure.
And I didn't get to catch somebody because she got hurt, but unfortunately. So, but I won't keep you any longer. I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to seeing what's next from Rigid. So have a good day.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.